Hello, I'm April Davila-Sit right here. I'm a novelist and mindfulness instructor, and I help aspiring authors write more and suffer less. This is First Page Fridays, the place where we look at people's first pages. We critique them, we look at what's working, what could be better, and mostly we all learn from this one author. It's amazing, actually. You can learn a lot more from looking at other people's work sometimes than even looking at your own. So thank you to the author, the anonymous author, who has sent in this page for us to look at. If you would like to send in your first page, check out the link below in the description. You can send that in and we'll put it on our list and get to it as soon as we can. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that when we do look at your page, you don't miss it. And with that, we can go ahead and get started. I'll move myself down here. We're going to start by just reading through the page as best. I haven't read it yet, so you have to forgive me if I mispronounce or stumble a little bit. And then we'll come back up to the top and we'll jump into the edits. Dana Thompson tightened her grip on the squirming bundle of canine energy in her arms. Ralphie's tail thumped wildly against her side as he batted at her earring and licked her chin with his scratchy pink tongue. Laughing at his antics, she ignored the gurgle of fish tanks, chirping of parakeets, and scent of cedar shavings and kibble pellets as she wandered the aisles of the local pet store. Locating the dog food section, she perused the endless rows of possibilities. Gluten-free, grain-free, high protein, no animal byproducts, all natural. Who knew there were so many choices? A knot of indecision tightened in her gut. How do you know which one to pick? Her best friend Sarah raised upturned hands. Beats me. Eyeing Ralphie as he nipped playfully into Dana's forearm, she added, How about one infused with a potent tranquilizer? Ha ha ha. She yanked her arm out of Ralphie's mouth and scolded, Stop that, Ralphie. Stop that, Ralphie, came the squawk of a large caged grayed parrot nearby. The two women turned to stare at the boisterous bird eyeing them. Excuse me. Ralphie's ears pulled back as though spooked, and he momentarily froze. Impressed, Dana said, Well, aren't you a clever bird? He obeys you better than he does me. The parrot cocked his head and repeated, Stop that, Ralphie. Ralphie. Sarah chuckled, then picked up a colorful bag of dog chow displaying nuggets of smiling silver fish, dancing orange carrots, and plump green peas. This one looks tasty, don't you think? All right, so we have Dana, who is presumably a new dog owner with a puppy. I'm guessing puppy because the squirming bundle of canine energy and the nipping and like all of this speaks to puppy. I didn't get a sense of breed actually. I guess I'm picturing something that will be a bigger dog but like still puppy enough to be holding. That might be a detail you might consider trying to get in if you can find just a word or two to give us a hint of like we'll look at where we might be able to do that. Let's just jump in here. Okay. Ralphie's tail. Dana Thompson tightened her grip on the squirming bundle of canine energy in her arms. Ralphie's tail thumped wildly against her side. Okay, so we know it's a breed with a tail, or a tail long enough to thump, not one of those little tiny ones. Ralphie's tail thumped wildly against her side as he batted at her earring and licked her chin with his scratchy pink tongue. I mean, this is adorable. And I'm a cat person, and I still think this is adorable. Laughing at his antics, she ignored the gurgle of fish tanks, chirping of parakeets. I might go ahead and think about, can we put in some paragraph breaks here? So letting that first paragraph kind of stand on its own of like, we're introducing Dana and Ralphie and the adorable little puppy. Laughing at his antics, she ignored the gurgling of fish tanks, chirping of parakeets, and scent. So we get there are four things here: gurgle, chirping, scent, and kibble pellets. So three of these are sensory: hearing the gurgle, hearing the chirping, smelling the cedar shavings, and then kibble pellets. I wonder, I might trim this just because it's not, unless you give it more of a visual, like the bright packaging. So let's run with that. I want to keep what you've got here as much as possible. She ignored the gurgle of fish tanks. And is she ignoring them or is she noticing? I mean, the fact that like they're being called out, I don't know, but you're third person, it's not first person. So it could be she ignored. The thing about ignoring is it kind of asks like, where is her attention? So you could even say she wandered past the gurgle of fish tanks, but wandering past a sound is, it's not bad. But again, if you're going to say she ignored, you kind of also want to give the where is her attention. Laughing, I'm going to say she wandered past the gurgle of fish tanks. And you could even say gurgling. She wandered past the gurgling fish tanks, chirping parakeets, and sweet-smelling cedar shavings. I don't know, and the how do I? Okay, so she wandered past the gurgling fish tanks, chirping parakeets, and rose. Again, we want to kind of keep it with the sensory here: gurgling, chirping, and the kind of painted myself into a corner here. Let's take back okay, she wandered past the gurgle of fish tanks and the chirping, the gurgle of fish tanks, chirping of parakeets, and sharp scent of cedar shavings, and then brightly packaged kibble pellets. So again, what we're trying to do is bring consistency into the list of descriptions here, and also dropping the and until we get to the very last item here. So she wandered past the gurgle of fish tanks. I still think it could be the gurgling fish tanks, the chirping of parakeets, the sharp scent of and I keep saying those. It's a different style to put a the in front of each. I'm not going to do that. It's not necessarily wrong. It's just a style thing. She wandered past the gurgle of fish tanks, chirping of parakeets, sharp scent of cedar shavings, and brightly packaged kibble pellets as she wandered the aisles of the local pet store. So then I put in an extra wandered I'm going to say she explored, because she is clearly like new to pet ownership, right? Otherwise she'd be like the in and out, because that's once you've had a pet for a while, you're like, right where you're going, and then you get the hell out of there. So she's exploring the aisles of the local pet store, locating the dog food section. So locating dog food section might point towards removing this, because if she's wandering the aisles, exploring the aisles, and she's already walked past the kibble pellets, maybe take this out and put the and back in here. And sharp scent of cedar shavings as she explored the aisles of the local pet store. And I would say her local pet store, like it's local to her. Locating the dog food section, she perused the endless rows of possibilities. And here's where you could put in like their brightly colored packages, offering more confusion, offering like more confusion than clarity. I'm going to say more confusion than clarity. Also, I'm going to just justify this. The spacing on it jars my eyes a little bit. This is me kind of writing into, you don't necessarily need to add this. She proves the endless rows of possibilities, period. Gluten-free, grain-free. I mean, you could do that. I just think there's a little opportunity here to get in a little more sensory detail, and kind of point to the fact that like all of these, it actually is like almost more confusing that there's so many options. But again, it's your story, not mine. These are suggestions. Take what works for you, leave the rest. Gluten-free, grain-free, high protein, no animal byproducts, all natural. Who knew there were so many choices? A knot of indecision tightened in her gut. How do you know which one to pick? Her best friend, Sarah. And then here, because we're kind of switching into Sarah here. Why are we getting formatting issues? Her best friend, Sarah, raised upturned hands. I like this gesture. This is very easy to picture, right? Like, beats me. Eyeing Ralphie as he nipped playfully into Dana's forearm, she added, "How about one infused with a potent tranquilizer?" Putting laughter into dialogue is always a little. It comes off as sarcastic. So, and that seems appropriate for this moment. Like, ha ha. She yanked her arm out of Ralphie's mouth and scolded, "Stop that, Ralphie." "Stop that, Ralphie," came the squawk of a large, caged gray parrot nearby. Now, I actually, when I got to this part, I remember that I've read this page before in one of my Hooked from the Start workshops. If you don't know about my Hooked from the Start workshops, come check out my website. I run them every 3 months or so, where we read first pages, and as a community, we vote whether we would keep reading or not. They're very fun, but we don't actually have time to do the critique and edit that we're doing here. But I did realize that I've read this once before, a while ago. So I remember the squawk of the parrot, and I do remember that in the discussion of this page, she told us that the parrot actually ends up playing a quite a significant role in the story. So this is actually a really great moment in the story where it's not just another animal, it's just not just another noise in the story, but that this is actually the introduction of a character who's going to be a player in the story. And I only know that because of the conversation that we had, but it was a very brief conversation. So I don't know much more about this caged parrot. Just that it's not a one-off. I do remember that. Okay. And okay, I'm gonna do a little just to clean up the formatting on this a little, because formatting it matters. Maybe not on a first draft. Okay, why are you giving me trouble? For the paragraph marking here. Okay. The two women turned to stare at the boisterous bird eyeing them. So I'm not exactly sure what a boisterous bird looks like. I would love to see what the action is that makes it read as boisterous. So the two women turned to stare as the parrot like bobbed his head and took 3 steps to the left or something, right? Like give us the specifics of, instead of boisterous, like what does it look like? Because I could picture a couple different versions of boisterous. Like the version I just gave where like he's bobbing his head, he's taking a few steps to the left or the right, maybe he's fluttering his wings. And to do any of that while eyeing them is definitely like an attention getter. So let us know what you're picturing in your head when you say boisterous. Build that out a little bit. Ralphie's ears pulled back as though spooked, and he momentarily froze. I don't think you need as though spooked. I think Ralphie's ears being pulled back, I mean, this shows that he's like, well, he's not in playful mode anymore, and he froze, and he momentarily, and I would just say, and he froze. You could even say in Dana's arms. Well, we know he's in Dana's arms, and he froze. Okay, impressed, Dana said. I don't know why this is bugging me so much. I'm just gonna, impressed, Dana said. I don't think you need the impressed. Dana said, well, aren't you a clever? And I might put this, well, aren't you? Dana said. And this, again, these are personal. Some of these are personal. They're creative choices, but it's good to get who's talking right up front. So you could leave it as it was. It was grammatically right. It was fine. I like to break up the dialogue a little bit by putting the dialogue tag kind of after the first sentence. I like the rhythm of that. Well, aren't you a clever bird? Dana said. He obeys you better than he does me. The parrot cocked its, and then since then we switched to the parrot again. The parrot cocked its head and repeated, stop that, Ralphie. And I like how you kind of misspell Ralphie there. It seems like he got it more, like this was actually closer, that like on the second repeat he kind of gets it, flubs it a little bit. Sarah chuckled, then picked up a colorful bag of dog chow, displaying nuggets of smell. Yeah, love the details on this. The details of which one she chooses, displaying the nuggets of smiling silver fish. Silverfish has a certain connotation of smiling, like cartoon fish. Because silverfish, you don't want people thinking about like the gross little bugs. Smiling cartoon fish, dancing orange carrots, and plump green peas. This one looks tasty, don't you think? All right, so this is a fun introduction. I'm guessing literary fiction. I could also make an argument for this being like if she's about to run into if it's about to be a meet cute, then I could see it being romance. Like I could also see it being a mystery. Like maybe the bird is tied into some sort of, just because I know that the bird plays a bigger role. I'm very curious to see where this goes. I wonder if you could get us a little bit of detail about what Sarah and Dana look like. even just little hints, right? How old are they? Because if Dana is a newly widowed woman in her 60s and Sarah is her bestie, that's a very different beat than Dana being like 22 and freshly out of college and having her first pet, and Sarah being her bestie. So look for ways that you can kind of clue us into how old are they? What do they look like? Are they bartenders? Are they lawyers? Are they like you not and you don't need to pause the flow of the story. And definitely don't like pause it and be like Dana Thompson, who was a 24-year-old lawyer in training, or I don't know what lawyers in training are called, a law student. um, but like you wouldn't want to stop the flow of the story, but look for little ways of like when he chews on her arm. Um, uh, is there like is it a bracelet? Like is it a expensive bracelet? Is it a cheap is it a set of beads that her toddler strung together at preschool? Is it a bracelet that her dead husband gave her? Like there are little things you might be able to weave in here of like maybe when he bats at her, where does he bat at her earring? And maybe his paw gets tangled in her long hair, and she's trying to like disentangle it while he's licking her chin. Um, you might be like, is it curly hair? Is it when he chews on her forearm? You might mention skin color, like his maybe his white teeth flash against her dark skin, or maybe the his chewing leaves red marks in her pale skin. So you can start to find little ways to just cue us into like what does Dana look like? You might not even need to get into Sarah just yet, but if you have some opportunity, definitely take that. Think about what you might weave in there. But in general, I'm intrigued. I want to, and I wonder too if there's a way to like hint at the fact that the parrot is going to be a bigger player. Um, I don't know if like do they get out of the store without another interaction with the parrot? This is why I would turn the page, is I want to see like is there another interaction with the parrot? And I would, if the parrot is, as I believe I remember it is, kind of a player, maybe don't jump too quickly to like picking up the dog food and getting out of there. Like maybe take a moment more with the parrot, and if you can give us a little more information. I don't know. I don't know what's appropriate for your story right now, but I would if the parrot is a bigger player, giving us a just maybe another moment with him before you move on to whatever's next. In general, I'm digging this page. It's an animal lover's dream, this story, and it's some really the writing is solid, and yeah, keep going. I can't wait to read more. Thank you too for sending in your pages. Doesn't work if you don't. So I hope you got some good feedback. If this isn't your page and you would like some feedback on your first page, please check out the link below in the notes and send in your page so that we can read it for you. And happy writing, everyone. I will see you next Friday. Cheers.